So in this video, we're going to talk about sacred sex, what it is, what it looks like, what it feels like, and most importantly, a framework for how we can embody sacred sex in our life, because that's what it's all about, is actually having an actionable way that we can put this into practice and bring this into our life as something that we actually experience instead of it just living as an idea. First of all, what is sacred sex? That term, for some people, is very foreign. For other people, it's appealing, but they don't have current clarity on what it actually is and how to really bring it into their life. Or maybe they've kind of touched it here and there, but not on a regular basis. And there's not that clarity and mastery of connecting with that. And then to a few people, sacred sex is an incredibly meaningful term because our sexuality is so deeply a part of who we are. It is so ingrained. It affects us in so many ways that when we transform our sexuality, we transform ourselves and we transform our lives. I've seen it over and over again. I've experienced it in my own life. So the way that I think about sacred sex is that sacred sex is about connecting through and with our soul and with the souls of our partners. Sexuality is hardwired into our physical body. It is, in that way, the animalistic part of that, to simply procreate. And beyond any conscious thought, beyond any higher level thinking, beyond any higher vibrational ways of living, we have that base instinct physically in our body. And that, through the body connection with our sexuality, is where a lot of people live. That's where their sexuality lives. That's what they focus on. That's what they intensely focus on, right? It is the physical body. It's the visuals. It's the physical sensation. And that's great, but it's shallower level when it comes to our sexuality, because when we create another human being, we are not just creating another body. We are doing that, but we're also creating, at least on this earth, another soul, another human being. So we have the creative energy within our sexuality that is not just physically creating another body. We can connect on that level. We can only connect on that level. A lot of people only ever do. You know, certainly on that level is where a lot of people get into very negative, very harmful, very destructive patterns. But certainly not always. A lot of people are connecting through that body. And I think that's really, for a lot of us, that's kind of where we all start. And I know that's been the experience that I've had in my life. And you have to go on an intentional journey to take it that deeper level. So that's what sacred sexuality really is it's about moving beyond the base body level of sexuality, and it is moving into our souls. It is connecting with our soul more deeply through our sexuality. It's connecting with our partners' souls through our experiences with our partners. So how do we do that? Right? It is a beautiful thing. It is a transformational thing. It is a thing that holds such amazing, incomprehensible, creative power. That thing, on the body level and the soul level, has the power to create another human being on this earth. It has the power to create anything, changes in ourselves, changes in our lives, things we want to build, do, experience, relationships. It can change it all. So how do we actually do that? Well, the framework for doing that is 3 parts. The first part of that is self. So as we relate to other people, we relate through ourselves. We relate through our body. We relate through our mind. We relate through our heart. So if we're going to affect our experience in relating with someone else, or for that matter, any aspect of life or anything we're going to do or accomplish, it's all through this lens of us. So if we're going to transform those things, we need to transform ourselves. And that is absolutely true with our sexuality. So the first step in the sacred sex framework is transforming our sexual connection with ourself. So if we go back, what is sacred sex? It is connecting through our soul as the primary pathway instead of just our body. So how do we do that with ourselves? Well, first of all, we need to eliminate anything that takes us outside of that. So porn is the biggest example here. And this is one of the reasons why porn is so destructive. And it's only one of the reasons, because there are physiological reasons, there are spiritual reasons, there are body chemistry reasons. But this is one of the biggest reasons that porn is so destructive, is because in a lot of ways, it takes us out of connecting with our soul, and it takes us off into this other place that is purely physical. And literally our attention becomes on someone else, somewhere else. And if our attention is there, then our attention can't be within. And if we're going to connect with our soul, our attention needs to be within. So transforming your solo sex life, your masturbation, your self-pleasure into something that is sacred is, first of all, letting go of those external things. And then bringing your attention, your awareness to within, to the sensations that you're feeling, to your heart, to your spirit, to that energy, to feeling that energy and connecting with it and feeling the life force and really connecting with that in a deep way. That's what it is, whether you want to think about it as chi or life force or God or universe or however you want to think about it. That's something that is alive within you, that is you, really. That's what we want to connect with. So we're going to let go of those other things. And when you're in your self-pleasure practice, you're going to bring your attention to those things, to within. A word that I talk about on my podcast with clients is meditative masturbation, right? It is blending the ideas, the perspectives and approaches of meditation and blending those into self-pleasure. That is how you connect to that sacred place. Now, a question that comes up a lot is, what about fantasy, right? Now, there's nothing inherently bad about fantasy. And furthermore, it is going to happen to some degree. You're going to have, thoughts come in and out of our mind. We can't control them all. We can control what we engage with versus what we let go. That we can do, right? But you're always going to have those thoughts. But the question is, should we engage with them or should we let them go? Again, I don't think there's any inherent problem with those fantasies. However, if that is always the place that you're in, you can't also be in the mindful place. You can't also be fully present with what is happening in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. You can't be fully present with those things if part of your mind is elsewhere. And I would also remind you, when it comes to fantasies, that our mind is a very powerful thing. We set targets with our mind, and we have a mechanism that moves us towards those targets. And often we're not aware of what those targets are. We do this in sort of an unintentional, automatic kind of way sometimes, but we can also do it intentionally. And either way, when you're in that fantasy, you're in essentially that target setting mode. You're imagining something. Now, you might be remembering something, but if you're sort of imagining something that hasn't actually happened, you're basically trying to kind of set a target for your mind. That's what this mechanism is. That's how it's taking that action, right? And that mechanism, the target is set more effectively when we bring strong emotions into it. If we just think a thought, any meaningless thing to a huge thing, but you just kind of think it without a lot of emotion behind it, you're not really setting the target for that mechanism. But when you blend those imaginations with feeling, with strong feeling, that's when it starts to really have an effect and set the target for that mechanism. So we can use that to our advantage in a lot of ways in life. But one thing that it's important to note in relation to that is that when we're in fantasy, we're bringing a strong emotion. Sexual energy is a strong emotion that we can attach to images and visions, to use that to set the target for that mechanism. And we can use that to our huge advantage. But if we're using it in a negative way, it's not going to help us. And it may actually be quite a negative thing. For example, if you are married or you're in a long-term committed relationship, if you're fantasizing about other people, whether it's porn, it's just fantasizing about other people, it's, that person that you ran into at the gym or whatever. If you're fantasizing about those people, you're setting a target for your mind that is not your spouse, that it's not your significant other. So if you're really committed to a relationship, we don't want to be setting targets that are outside of that. And I think actually that's what leads a lot of people down the path of being unfaithful, of all of that kind of thing that catches a lot of people. I think often a factor in that is how much time you're spending fantasizing about being with other people. Now, again, you may have thoughts that come into your mind, right? You're human. You don't control every thought that comes into your mind. But there is a big difference between a thought coming in and you just kind of let it go and off it goes. Or that thought comes in, you dwell on it and you engage with it and you visualize it, and you visualize it this way and you visualize it that way, and you are tapped into that energy and you're visualizing it. That's a whole different thing, right? So in regards to fantasy and practicing and embodying sacred solo sex, the real takeaways are, number one, if you're in fantasy, and to whatever degree you're in fantasy, you're not fully present with yourself. And the second thing is that, again, you're setting that target. What do you want to set it on? You better consciously decide and use that to your advantage in all the ways. What I would recommend is, if you're in a committed relationship, that you shoot for maybe something like 80-20 in your solo practice, where 80% of the time you're focused on yourself. You're within your own body. You're within the energy inside of you. You're present with your breath, with the physical sensations, with the energy moving around your body. And 20% of the time, be in fantasy about your significant other, not about somebody else, not porn, not that person that you just walked by 10 minutes ago at the store, right? Your partner. Recall previous experiences, bring those back, bring that energy back. That's such a powerful thing, to recall previous experiences in our life in order to bring back the emotions that were associated with that experience. Or you may envision something that you want to do with your partner. You may envision you have a trip coming up and you're envisioning how that's going to play out in terms of the awesome sex that you're going to have while you're on your trip. 20% of the time, let that be, right? Go with it. Dive into it. Dive into your partner. 80% of the time, focus on yourself. And if you're single, I would shoot for the same target, but the 20%, instead of imagining some porn star or, that girl that you saw at work or whatever, imagine your future partner, right? If you want to be in a committed relationship with a partner, then the 20% of the time that you're fantasizing, imagining, envisioning, using your creative imagination, do that to imagine your partner already in existence, because she is, If you're watching this video, your partner has been born. She is in existence. He is in existence. So imagine that person already in existence and start to massage in your mind what they're like and what you experience together. That's what I would focus on, is what do you want to feel? Because that's what sets that mechanism within us most effectively, is strong feelings, and it is specifically using the feelings as a target. So it is actually much more effective to envision how you want to feel, whether it's with that partner, it's when you accomplish that thing in life, it's, when you transform your body in a certain way, whatever it is. Instead of thinking about what you're going to look like, what your partner's going to look like, what that house is going to look like, think about what are you going to feel? How is it going to feel when you accomplish that thing? How is it going to feel with that partner, right? What are you going to experience together? And go beyond the physical. When I say what are you going to experience together, go beyond. It's fine to think about, physical positions and sexual, techniques you want to try and all that thing. That's fine. But go beyond that as well. What do you want to feel? What does your soul want to feel in that experience? So if you're single, imagine that for your partner that you are attracting into your life. Imagine her or him, right? So that is step number 1 of the sacred sex framework, is solo. It is ourself. Step number 2 is partners. And this is one where certainly in modern society, I think a lot of people have gotten very off track when it comes to this part of sacred sexuality. Let's talk about in this aspect what sacred sex is not. Sacred sex is definitely not having sex with any random person who will have sex with you. It is not seeking someone out for the sole reason of having sex with them. It is not having sex with somebody that you don't actually care about. People do that all the time. People have sex all the time with people they legitimately, maybe like meh level care about, right? People use people for sex. That's what it really, in a lot of cases, it happens a lot. So sacred sex when it comes to partners is definitely not that. And when I say when it comes to partners, this part of the framework is about partner selection, right? We're going to talk about in part 3 of the framework, in step 3, what the experience itself is, right? But this is about who. Step 2 in the framework is who we're having sex with. So again, the way to think about this is that we're connecting with someone's soul. That's what we're doing. That's what our goal is. That's what our intention is in this sacred sex process, is to connect our soul with the soul of someone else. So choose wisely. When you're connecting with someone's soul, you want to choose very wisely who you are doing that with, because it has incredible potential to heal you and empower you each in really beautiful ways. It also has the potential to significantly harm you. The energetic connection that we have when we connect souls, we share all these things back and forth. It's not just this number of watts of energy that we move back and forth. We're moving experiences and emotions and really this complex energetic exchange. And it's always happening every time we have sex with someone, whether we're paying attention to it or not. So one of the things that happens with people who get in a habit of just, having a lot of sex with a lot of people, including people they really have no intention of any sort of long-term relationship with, and in some cases people they don't really care about. What happens is your souls are still connecting, and you end up sharing and taking on some of that person, and that can include trauma and pain and negative emotions, because emotions are stored in the body. They're physically stored in the body. So when you're connecting with somebody else, that stuff's going to move back and forth. So it's very important that we initially look through the lens of, do I truly want to connect with this person's soul? That's what it's really all about. It's not about, okay, do I want to marry this person? How long do I want to be committed? That's something to think about, but more importantly, more fundamentally, is this someone that I really want to connect my soul with their soul in a very significant way that is going to have a lasting effect on us both, because it does. So as you think about how you're dating and how you're approaching relationships, think about it through that lens, right? It's great to be physically attracted to somebody. It's great to be attracted to certain aspects of them. We've got to also look deeper and really start with, do I want to connect with this person's soul? And that's a big question. It should be. For me, it is. And if it's going to be sacred, it is a big question, right? So choose wisely. Think about if what you really desire, and I know this doesn't apply to all of you, but a lot it does. If what you really desire is a long-term relationship, is a life partner, whether you're going to marry that person or not, you would like a person to be a team together with you, right? To be your partner. If that is your goal, then approach it with that goal in mind, right? Having sex with any random person who wants to have sex with you is not moving with that goal in mind, right? This is something a lot of young guys, especially, and guys of all ages to some degree, a lot of them fall into, it's pretty much going to be, if they can have sex with somebody, they will. Now, this doesn't describe everybody, but in shades of gray, that's where a lot of people, both men and women, fall into. So don't be that. Now, I'm not saying that you need to wait for marriage. I'm not saying that you need to do anything. By all means. What I am saying is that you have an opportunity to choose a path of high frequency, to choose a path of high vibration, to choose a path that aligns with what your end main desire really is. Okay, step 3 in the sacred sex framework is the experience. Now, this is experience when it comes to having sex with your partner, right? You've chosen somebody based on wanting to connect with their souls. Maybe you chose their soul. Maybe you chose somebody a long time ago. You've been married for 20 years. How do you bring sacred sex into that experience together? Well, the first thing we talked about is yourself. You got to find that place within yourself. You've chosen a partner in a sacred way. Now, if we're going to bring that into the experience, it's very important that as we go into that experience, that we have that intention. We set intentions. It is very, very powerful. Do not underestimate the power of setting a very simple intention as you go into anything. A work day, a conversation, a workout, or yes, having sex with your partner. Set an intention. You might set an intention just within your own mind, or ideally, maybe you set intentions by having a little conversation and communication with your partner before you have sex. You have a pre-sex briefing, which is way more fun and awesome than the word briefing sounds, by the way. It is just simply a very short conversation where you work to understand, where does your relationship stand? What desires do you have for today? What boundaries do you have for today? What is your intention? That kind of conversation can be incredibly powerful, because just by having that conversation, you're already going deeper than just the physical body urges, right? You're going to get into the physical body urges, and that's going to be awesome. But we want to also connect with that other place, and understanding and having some communication around where you both stand on those kind of things. What are your boundaries? What are your desires? Where does your relationship stand That's an important one, right? If you're dating somebody, maybe it's the first time you're having sex, it would be really beneficial to have a clear understanding of where your relationship actually stands and what the meaning is. What does it mean to you? What does this being together with this person today mean to you? Again, this kind of conversation can happen in a couple of minutes, a few minutes, you know? It doesn't have to be anything significant. So let's say you're kissing and it's kind of moving that direction. Just pause, lay together, sit together, whatever it is. Maybe you snuggle up together. Maybe you look at each other's eyes. Try not to fall over. You look in each other's eyes, or you just snuggle together, however it feels good, and you just talk for a couple minutes. You discuss those things. What does this mean to you? Where does our relationship stand? What are your desires? What are your boundaries? Discuss those things. This will go a long way towards helping you bring sacred sex into that experience, because even if you've really connected within that, to that within yourself, and even if you're in a, what feels like a sacred connection that you want to explore the connection with someone's soul, you can still get lost in lower vibrational approaches to sex, right? You're only thinking about the body, your mind's somewhere else, you're thinking about something else, someone else. We need to approach it in a very intentional way if that is going to be a sacred experience, if we're going to touch that place. And really what that is, what it feels like to me is it's God, or if that word doesn't align with you, it's life force, it's the universe, it's that something that science cannot identify, that we are, not only that we are connected to, but that we are, but in a lot of ways that we don't really understand. But it is us, and it is the life force, it is the life within us. So that's the kind of experience that I want to have when I'm having sex. And I'll tell you, from my own experience and from so many people that I've worked with, it is absolutely something you can learn. And this idea of learning about sex it's like, finances. Anybody would say, yeah, everybody should learn about finances, right? Maybe some people do, some people don't. But it's, I would say, generally thought of as an idea that people spend time learning about. Physical fitness, various things, right? But sexuality is this thing that somehow we're just expected to know it. We're just expected to automatically find our way into this awesome thing. We're just expected to know what we're doing and to not talk about it and not actually work on it. No, that's bullshit. Not only do we need to talk about it, we do have the opportunity to actually learn about it and grow and practice and get better and expand. It's expanding. If that little life force within you, or if that life force within you is like this little pinprick of light, it's very powerful, right? But it's coming through a small opening. As we tap into sacred sex, we expand. That's what we do. We expand. That light, it's like, gets bigger. You expand as an energy. You raise your frequency. You expand as a human being. You expand as a team. If you're in a partnership, a marriage, a long-term relationship, whatever, if this is someone that you're building a life with, that you're wanting to experience things together and achieve things together and love in a certain way and affect other people in a certain way, the most powerful thing that you can do to move towards that, I absolutely believe, is to tap into sacred sexuality together and to do it in an intentional, mindful way. It absolutely can transform us individually. We do not need a partner to experience sacred sex. And now this is not about saying, oh, I'm just, I don't want a partner. I don't need someone. And just approaching it long-term that way. It's not just saying, oh, well, I have porn as a substitute and I can live with that. And no, you need to work and build yourself and actually find the partnership that you really desire. But in the meantime, while you're choosing a partner wisely, you're going to have times where you're not in a relationship, where you do not have someone to have sex with, another person, but you can always experience that with yourself. And you can experience it in a sacred way. You can experience it in a way that will transform you. And it absolutely has the power to transform you specifically in a way to attract that partner. If we're gonna attract someone different than we've attracted before, if we're gonna attract our ideal partner, we're going to need to transform ourselves. And if you can do that with sexuality, you will find that not only do you have amazing day-to-day benefits in your own life from having that sacred sex be a part of your life, but you will also magnetize and attract partners in general and your ideal partner. So let's make sex sacred again. And I say again because it is sacred. This is not brand new, but it's been lost in a lot of ways. So for the modern world, this is new. It's a new way of approaching our sexuality. What's old is new again. So bring sacred sexuality into your life. Start with yourself. Transform your solo self-pleasure practice into a mindful, meditative, sacred experience. Choose your partners wisely. Choose who you share your body and soul with very wisely. Choose someone who you truly want to and are willing to have that soul exchange. And then, as you approach each day, each sexual experience, each intimate moment with your partner, approach that with your soul and her soul or his soul in mind, right? Approach it through your souls. The body is just the gateway. The destination is the soul. Yours, your partner's, bring them together. I promise you, this journey of building our sexuality, of expanding it, of making it sacred, is one that is the most worthwhile, the most powerful journey that we can go on. I absolutely believe that, because sexuality reaches into every part of who we are. It affects our physical body, it affects our choices, our confidence, our enthusiasm, our discipline. It affects how we relate to other people. It affects the choices we do and don't make. It affects everything. So if it's going to affect everything, then it stands to reason that there is no more important part of our life to work on harnessing in a very positive way. And in the course of moving towards sacred sexuality, you will, along the way, your mental health will improve, right? If you're practicing getting into a meditative space, what's going to happen? Your mental health is going to improve. Your anxiety is going to go down. You're going to have more calm. You're going to have more real energy. Your body's going to feel better. You're going to have less cortisol messing with your system. Your body's going to be more in that parasympathetic rest state. Your nervous system is going to be in that state more often. It can and will affect you on a physical level, on a spiritual level, on a mental level, and on every aspect of relating in life, relating to other people, whether it's your kids, your partner, your coworkers, your friends. It's the actions you do and don't take. It's that business. It's changing your body. It affects everything. So work on it. And man, it is so worth it. Go out, go forth, and have lots and lots of beautiful, sacred sex.